key possibility of a $5,000 payment, and the future of the U.S. economy. The United States economy is going through a period of significant uncertainty, with debates surrounding interest rate cuts, the impact of trade tariffs, and rising unemployment. A proposal has emerged for direct payments to citizens, known as the DOGE dividend. This payment could reach $5,000, depending on factors such as government efficiency and fiscal savings. But will this actually happen? And what would be the consequences for the U.S. economy? Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell made key statements that help put the situation into perspective. According to him, the Federal Reserve has two main objectives: price stability, controlling inflation, and maintaining high employment levels. However, recent job market fluctuations and uncertainty over trade tariffs are creating a dilemma for the central bank. But what's the connection between these factors and the potential $5,000 payment? The answer lies in the push for greater efficiency in the federal government. The DOGE dividend proposal is linked to public spending cuts, with the idea that the money saved could be redistributed to citizens. Currently, the Department of Government Efficiency has reportedly saved around $115 billion. However, the goal is to reach $2 trillion. Only if this savings target is met would there be enough fiscal space for a significant payout to the public. If the government manages to save more and generate sufficient funds for the DOGE dividend, distributing this money could, in theory, stimulate consumer spending and economic activity. However, there's a major dilemma. A payment of this size could lead to increased inflation, something the Federal Reserve is trying to curb. Jerome Powell highlighted that uncertainty surrounding trade tariffs adds further pressure on prices. One example he mentioned was a rise in washing machine prices after tariffs were imposed on them. Interestingly, dryers, which were not subject to tariffs, also saw price increases, illustrating how markets can react in unpredictable ways. The key question is, if the government injects billions of dollars into the economy through the DOGE dividend, wouldn't this create an even bigger inflationary spiral? If so, the Federal Reserve would have to raise interest rates further to counteract inflationary effects, potentially slowing down the economy and increasing unemployment. Rising unemployment is another major concern in this scenario. While there haven't been widespread federal layoffs yet, some regions in the U.S. are already experiencing an increase in job losses. If budget cuts to reach the $2 trillion savings goal spread nationwide, the number of unemployed workers could rise significantly. And what happens if unemployment increases? Economic theory suggests that the Federal Reserve might be forced to cut interest rates to encourage businesses to hire more workers. But at the same time, inflation could rise, making the situation even more complex. The Federal Reserve is facing a major dilemma. If inflation rises due to tariffs and potential direct payment to citizens, it will need to raise interest rates. However, if unemployment spikes, the solution might be the exact opposite: cutting rates. Which path will they take? What is more urgent, controlling inflation or addressing unemployment? Starting in April, the U.S. government will gain a clearer picture of the effects of trade tariffs and fiscal policy changes. Official data will begin to reveal whether inflation is rising at a concerning rate or if unemployment is becoming a more pressing issue. April and May will be crucial months for understanding the future of the U.S. economy and whether the DOGE dividend will actually move forward. On one hand, supporters of the payment argue that returning part of the government's efficiency savings to citizens could boost the economy without severe negative effects. On the other hand, economists warn that injecting a massive amount of money into the economy, combined with trade tariffs, could create a perfect storm for inflation. As discussions around the $5,000 payment continue, the Federal Reserve is closely monitoring economic indicators to determine its next move. The coming weeks will be critical in deciding whether the U.S. moves forward with new economic stimulus measures or takes a more cautious approach to avoid an inflationary crisis.